Hello, my name is Ben Christopherson. I'm here at the University of West London in Ealing, and we are going to show you how to make some choux pastry products with some pre-prepared choux pastry. We're going to make a hazelnut choux bun, and we're also going to make a chocolate eclair. So to do this, you'll need a recipe of choux pastry, and you'll need your tray, which you're going to bake your product on. And then you're going to need to decide the size of what you're going to bake and how it's going to cook in the oven, so you need to organise yourself relatively well. You always want to bake the similar size products on the same size tray, so don't mix the products up because they'll cook at different times and different temperatures. So what I'm going to do for the choux bun is I'm actually going to make some marks on the tray so that I can pipe nice and accurately so that they're all exactly the same size. The way I do this is decide the volume of choux that you're going to pipe. In this case it's about that much, and I'm just going to dip the base of that ring into the flour and just tap it on onto the mat, just so I can see how much I need to bake. You don't have to put loads and loads of flour on, just a rough outline is enough to guide you. And I'm leaving quite a lot of space between all of these choux buns because they will expand quite a lot. Okay, so that's a guide size. That's a good size for about an afternoon tea size, maybe a little bit larger. And what I'm going to do is I've got the next size ring up as well ready, and I'm going to use that one to cut pieces of very, very thin pastry called craquelin, which is very, very high ratio fat to flour pastry, very, very thin, which will sit on top of the choux bun, and as the choux cooks, that pastry will wrap itself around the dough and it will spread and separate, and it will create a crust on top, which is great for texture, and also it's really good to keep the shape of the choux itself. So we'll pipe the choux on now. So you just want to ensure that you pipe nice equal shapes that stay inside the guided lines. And as I pipe, I'm just moving my bag anti-clockwise halfway just to get that tip to stay off. There you go. So you've got your well piped out choux, thank you very much. And then you've got your craquelin, which I've rolled very thin, about 1 millimetre, and I've chilled it right down in the fridge. And this is made with brown sugar, soft brown sugar, so it's got a lovely taste and nice colour as well. And when you work with this dough, it has to be really nice and cold for you to cut it out. The minute it gets a little bit too warm, it will just stick to the silicone paper, and you won't be able to do it. So when it does start to stick, quite simply, just move the dough back into the fridge or into the freezer, get it to set off again, and you'll be able to cut your pieces out. But if you work nice and quickly, like this, get all the bits done, you should have enough time to do a whole tray. And you see craquelin being used more often than not now on choux pastry, and really is for those two reasons. It's for that added texture, and also it really helps control the shape of the dough. Helps keep it really nice and uniform. It's quite forgiving, even if you've got a paste which might be spreading maybe slightly too much, or there's a crack in the dough as it cooks. It can really help keep that consistency and keep that shape. So it's really great for uniformity. All right, brilliant. So they're going to cook in the oven at 160 degrees for around 20 to 25 minutes, but I'll always check them, so we'll always have a good visual look, and what you're looking for is a complete coloration. The whole thing is completely golden brown. If you can see any lines of white on it at all, don't be tempted to open the door, leave it in there, let it cook, because you've really got to cook that dough till it's completely solidified, and then you'll be able to open the oven door. If you open the oven door before that, what will happen is the air will rush in and the choux will collapse because it hasn't got the structure to stay up, and then it will never go back to that really nice cylindrical round shape that you started off with. Right, so these are the cooked choux buns with the crackling top. And what we've done is we've cooked them to a really nice golden brown colour, and then we've made sure that the colour is all the way around the outside. There's no white on it at all. And then turn the oven down to about 130. Continue cooking it for about another 15-20 minutes or so, just to make sure you really dry the choux out. Otherwise, when you fill it with the soft fillings like diplomat or creme patisserie, the whole product will go soft very fast. So in order to make sure that you keep some texture inside your final product, you want to make sure you really dry out your choux when you cook it. So the final things that we're going to do is we're going to garnish this choux bun, and what we're going to do is we're going to fill it with a hazelnut praline diplomat, which we've got prepared here, and then garnish it with some vanilla chantilly, and then put a little dip in the middle of the chantilly and fill it with a little bit more hazelnut praline. So just to demonstrate to you what the centre of one of these will look like, once you've dried it and cooked it out nicely, you'll see that you've got a nice big air gap in the middle, and that this section in the centre is, as dried out as you can possibly get it without overcooking the bun. So there's plenty of space in there to fill it up with a decent filling. So then what you're going to do, you're going to just make a small hole. You can either do this on the bottom, or because you're going to cover the top, you can do it on the top. And in this case, I'm going to do it on the top because then there's no unnecessary hole at the bottom. So all you can do is just take a small paring knife, small hole on the top, and then just take your diplomat cream. So I've made a pastry cream, and then I've flavoured it with a hazelnut praline, and then I've whipped some cream and then folded it all together. So I'm just going to put the end in and just fill it. And it's really important with these products that you really make sure that you fill the choux. And the way you can do it is you'll feel the weight of it, and also when it's full, the diplomat cream will start to push its way back out of the choux bun. So it's a good indication that it's full. Because what you don't want to get as a customer is, you don't want to get one of these on your afternoon tea or from your patisserie, bite into it, and there's a great big air gap in there. You're going to feel a little bit shortchanged, and you're not getting the full quality of the product. You can also feel that it's really nice and heavy as well when they're properly filled. So that part goes on. Just take a little bit of that excess off. And then really simple finish on this. We're just going to take some chantilly, and we're going to put a bulb on top. Give it a little tap just to equal it out. Take some hot water, a Parisienne scoop. Just make a small dimple. And then you can fill that with some hazelnut praline. And then you could garnish it however you want to. Maybe a little bit of chocolate garnish, a little nice thin piece of cocoa, or maybe some roast hazelnuts around the outside. Okay, but that's your finished choux pastry product, a hazelnut choux bun. Right, so we're going to use the remaining choux pastry to make some eclairs, which we're going to fill with a chocolate creme patisserie and put a chocolate marzipan coating on top, an almond coating. And we'll pipe them out now, and then we'll put that crackling on again, and we'll bake it 160 degrees again for about 20-25 minutes. And a lot of these mats here have got centimetres on them already and measurements, but just a pastry scraper sometimes is a really good indicator to use. It's around 10 centimetres long, so it's a good length for an eclair. So you can just start off by using that one as your initial measurement, and then it's really handy to be able to follow that first one that you've done. So pipe it on, just stop it and bring it back, and then you can copy that length as you go. Let's squeeze one more out there. Great. Perfect. And then we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to put some cracklan, that pastry dough on top. So what we can do is just use the rollers, measure the dough, make sure you get the right width. And then you want it slightly bigger than the width of the eclair so that it wraps itself around. So they just go on top. Okay, and then they go in the oven, 160 for 20 to 25 minutes. And then you want to really cook them. After that, dry them out as much as you can. So turn the oven down probably to about 130 for another 15-20 minutes, just to try and get the choux as dry as possible on the inside, just to make sure that it's still got the nice shape, the nice colour, but the inside is quite dry. It'll last longer as a product. So here we have the eclairs using the choux pastry with the cracklan top, which have been cooked again, similar to the choux bun in the oven, 160 for about 25 minutes, so they get a nice golden colour. And then we turn the oven down, so about 130, 125, 130, probably for around another 20-25 minutes again, just to get them to really dry out, so they're nice and dry, and the centre of the choux has cooked nicely, and there's a nice big air gap again in the middle, so that you can fill it with the filling. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill it with a chocolate pastry cream, which we've prepared already, and then we're going to cover it with a chocolate almond covering. So slightly differently to covering it with fondant. We make an almond paste and then introduce a little bit of sugar syrup and some cocoa powder, so you get this lovely dark, very, very flexible covering. And I've cut it to size, so we will crack on and fill the eclair. So what you do, you want to do three holes. And the advantage to doing 3 holes on the bottom is that you can really see how much you're filling up. Again, you're going to be able to see how much you've filled because you can watch the pastry cream come up through that other little hole there. So you can make sure you get a really nice full product so that the guest is getting the full experience with eating something like this. Loads of texture, loads of flavour. Really nice finished product. So you can just take that final bit off the bottom. And I'm going to put this chocolate marzipan bar on top. But what I'm going to do first to make sure that it attaches nicely is I've got a little bit of prepared apricot glaze. You could use any type of glaze, neutral glaze or any type of jam really. And all I'm doing is just adding a little bit of moisture on top, just to make sure that chocolate marzipan bar will stick on here and it won't move around or slide off. You don't have to put lots on, just enough to bond the two together. So what you do, place it on and then just gently go around and press it all the way around. Just try and be as neat and tidy as possible. keep those lines as straight as possible. And then once you've got it on and it's looking nice and straight, then you can press it down a little bit just to get that line a little bit finer on the top. There you go, and it's a really nice, neat, tidy way of finishing your eclair. It's also got a lot of flavour as well. It's got a really nice almond flavour to it and a really nice chocolate flavour. It's quite intense from the cocoa that's inside it, and obviously the sweetness from the marzipan sort of draws the whole thing together. So I just press it as well just to make sure it's stuck on there.